I just remember he handed me a tray with 2 enemas and 2 douches on it and said, take this up to bedroom 4.
So you have 2 douches and 2 enemas.
And I knock on the door and it opens and it's
Okay. Wow. Welcome to Howie Mandel Does Stuff. I'm Howie Mandel. What a coincidence.
I'm Jacqueline Schultz.
My daughter.
Yes.
My co-host.
Or Jackie. I'm Jackie Schultz.
Well, the reason you're saying that is because we have an illustrious guest today. We also have Lou Dinos is back in the room. Anyway, but we have an illustrious guest also, Tim Bagley, who you've known since you were a little girl.
I'm excited. I haven't seen you in a long time.
So for those that don't,
time.
Yeah, it is a long time. Tim Bagley, you would know from Will and Grace. What was the character name? You were a recurring Larry from Will and Grace. You're on. How many shows are you on right now? Like you're on 2 right now, right? Regularly. The one with on FX called.
Oh, you mean the one on Peacock? You mean Craig's show, Craig Robinson's show? It's called Killing It.
Killing It on what? That's not Peacock.
Yeah, it's on Peacock.
It's on Peacock called Killing It.
Yes.
And
then I just finished the 2nd season of Somebody Somewhere for HBO with Bridget Everett.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you're on like everything.
Grace and Frankie. I don't know. There's a bunch of stuff. Oh, and I've got American Born Chinese coming up sometime in January.
And my favorite was you, the gynecologist in the...
Oh, yeah. The Judd Apatow films.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yes. In
This is 40
This
and
is
Knocked Up.
Yeah.
And Knocked Up. And he was also in the Mike Myers movies. What's it called? He's the spy.
Austin Powers.
Austin Powers. I love that I can't remember, but either can you.
I'm looking at you thinking, what?
What movies was I in?
Yeah.
And he's, more importantly, a good friend who I don't get to see enough. And we worked together years ago. But the reason you're saying you're Jackie, because when did you change your name to Jacqueline?
We just talked about this before we came on the air. Because when I was doing all my social media, Jackie was taken. So I put Jacqueline and then it just stuck and everyone started calling me Jacqueline. But I said my friends and family still call me Jackie.
And so when I've heard, the podcast, people refer to you as Jacqueline.
Well, I was also thinking about changing it to Jacqueline when I became a teacher because I thought it made me sound like more grown up and I don't know.
Well,
Mature.
you are grown up and mature.
Not when I started teaching.
Interesting.
But now I'd like to go back to not being grown up. So I'll go back to Jackie.
I remember you, Jackie, very clearly as being a very kind of, you observed the world around you. You were very aware that your father had a big life and, and that you were part of this, that,
Hang on.
What,
my
Alex?
son, Alex, is just walking into the room in the middle. Are you realizing that one of the cameras is not in focus?
No, it's in focus. We just want it a little closer.
So why don't we just have Tim move closer to the camera? Tim, just lean forward.
Okay.
There
Does that help?
Does that help? All right.
You guys want to switch seats?
Should
Me
we?
and Tim?
You and Jackie?
Should
Do you
we?
want us to?
Is that what you set it up for?
Is that how you always?
I don't understand how that changes the focus because he's looking this direction. What?
Because he's looking.
Up into the right.
Oh.
Okay, we're
Oh,
gonna switch.
I'm looking a lot at you.
So a
Is that-
lot of this is Lou looking in the right place. Lou, how do you feel about
I feel good. Am I looking good?
For people.
You want us to switch?
Everyone says switch.
For people
Switch.
listening, we have a new
No,
set.
no. We don't know that. They may have seen. We don't know what order this is.
Oh.
But we're just setting. We're just setting things up.
Don't knock it into the
Okay,
phone.
don't walk. This is. We always have like behind the scenes. Remember where you were in the story about Jackie? What are you doing?
Well,
You don't have
then
to- I could bring you your glasses and your water. You don't have to take it with you. Is this good?
Yep.
Alex,
This
our son,
must
doesn't
be.
seem.
this must be your way so that you can get to see Jackie a lot more.
The podcast, or
Yeah,
or just
the
sitting
podcast.
or just seeing her from both sides in one episode.
Oh, gosh. I remember Alex, I was there when he first took training wheels off the bike and was riding on the bike for the first time.
Oh, that was almost 3 years
yeah,
now.
3 years ago.
Yeah. He finally took his wow. So you haven't been around. We don't get to see each other a lot.
We don't.
What did you say to me outside just before we started?
I asked him, I said, I assumed, I made an assumption, and I said, I'm sure that your mother probably has passed away, right?
She
and
hasn't.
He said, no. And you said, and what did you say?
What a way for me to find out. But how do you feel about just that it's not true?
No.
No.
This is how bad things get started.
It's not a way to greet anybody.
No, that's it.
I didn't
Hi, I
know-
haven't seen you in so long. He says sorry about your
I
mother.
didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to say.
So
And
why
then
would you start with a false death claim?
I don't know how I don't. This is a lot to try to wrangle.
What is?
All this.
Anyway, go ahead
Yeah.
with your story.
No, that's it. I
Okay.
remember that. I remember Riley just always in little like girly kind of fairy costumes.
No,
and
that was my son
princess-
Alex. You don't remember. That was Alex was always wearing girly princess
Do you
outfits.
also go up to women and ask them how far along they are?
I did do that once. Do you remember
You
this?
are that person. No, I don't remember this.
I did.
Was it to me?
No, it was
Okay.
no. It was in church, and I remember.
Why would my daughter remember this?
Because I thought maybe I had said it, and
No.
and she was so horrified by the story.
No.
But it was in church many years ago, and I looked at the lady next to me, and I asked her how far along she was, and she said, "I'm not pregnant." And it was just I remember thinking, Tim, you shouldn't make assumptions.
Really?
Yeah.
And from that, and then you came and saw
I
me
know.
and said, "I'm
I
sorry
know.
about
Well, you know,
your
sometimes-
mother."
Sometimes we learn lessons over and over,
Or,
Or don't.
or don't learn them at all.
the lady in church
Yeah.
was just fat, right?
Yes.
Yes. And is that considered a sin? What you did? I'm not. I'm not a
I-
church going person.
I know. I don't think it's considered a sin. I just think it's impolite. You mean to ask somebody something too personal, and then be wrong? Yeah, I don't think that it's ever a good thing to ask somebody if they're pregnant when they're
Jackie-
just large.
Yes, but Jackie, when Jackie was 8 months pregnant and obviously pregnant, tell them what you used to do.
People would ask how far along I am, and I would say I'm not pregnant.
That's
All the
great.
way up to like the day I
Oh.
gave birth. I said I wasn't pregnant.
You are your dad's daughter.
Yes.
You know what else I saw him do before
What?
we get into everything else? Back there, he was taking a picture with someone and he intentionally
No,
cinches the shirt of the person next to him in the picture so it makes him look better. It makes the other person look heavier.
well, you do what
He
you
does
got to
that?
listen. You do what you got to do when you're not at your proper weight.
He puts his arm around them, cinches
their
shirt
shirts
in
so
the
they're
back.
bulging.
Yeah.
Well, it
great
keeps-
idea.
And then all the attention goes to them, and they're like, "What's happening with that person's body?" And they don't notice all this happening.
Or you just look so thin. And then
Terry likes to make people embarrassed. My wife will embarrass people too.
What?
I'll tell you this. I
Mhm.
don't know this. We were in an elevator once,
Hmm.
and she thinks this is funny. We were in an elevator once, and Terry says to a stranger in the elevator, "Can you smell my feet?" And the stranger goes, "No," and she goes, "Then it must be my vagina."
Oh no! Oh no! Oh,
Swallow.
You guys.
You're lying. Did you
What?
do that?
No,
Oh.
funny, right?
Yeah, that is funny.
Okay. Welcome back, Lou.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ask me what I'm doing.
What are you doing?
You don't have the mic near
My
you.
impression of following a bouncing ball.
That's great for the listeners.
It's a
The
podcast.
people- yeah.
For those that don't know, he's
He's
bobbing
bouncing his head.
So Tim is not only a funny comedian, actor, good person, friend. He has amazing Hollywood stories. And the last time when we had Craig Robinson on this podcast, we called you
Mm-hmm.
as he loves you and loves working with you. And you reminded us that one of your first jobs when you came out to Hollywood, like a lot of people were waiters and a lot of people were, valet parking people. You got a job at the Playboy Mansion.
Yes, I was a butler for Hugh Hefner for 1 year. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And
And I saw stuff.
He did. Now you told us a story, and
Yeah, that was the first day on my job. I got the job.
so wait, how do you get the job?
Okay, I got the job. I was taking an acting class with Gordon Hunt, and one of the people in the class was Zelda Rubinstein, who right around that time got the job as the medium in Poltergeist.
Oh, the little lady.
And so she knew that I needed another part-time job, and she said, "I know the head butler at the Playboy Mansion," so she introduced me to him.
Wait, was Zelda Rubinstein also a playmate?
No, she was not.
Okay.
She was not.
You could put up a picture of Zelda Rubinstein right now, Jeremy, so people can.
So Zelda introduced me to them. I went in and met with them. They asked
Who was the
me-
head butler? Who was the head butler?
His name was Thomas. I don't remember his last name.
As the head butler at the Playboy Mansion, is that the person in charge, or were they in charge of?
There were people in charge of
getting
him.
head?
No, they were in charge. There were people in charge of him. So I met with his boss, who was Mary something. I don't remember her last name right now. And she asked me, if I've ever been in a service position, and I said no. And she asked me if I had a black vest, and I said no. And she asked me if I was comfortable with different kinds of people, and I said yes. And then
In that order, those were the questions. Have
Yeah.
you been in the service business? Do you have a black vest? And are you comfortable with different kinds of people?
somewhere in there, she asked me if I could get a vest by Friday.
So they weren't
And I
even
said
going to
yes.
supply you with a vest.
No, I ended up getting my
So they
own
don't
vest.
really care if you have a black vest or if you've been in the service industry. They only care that you were comfortable with people.
I think that was what the interview was about. I think she was sussing out whether or not I was crazy, or somebody that would be stalking the women or something like that. The girls.
So and she was able to get this from you based
Mhm.
on the fact of vest ownership, because people who
I don't
already
know
have
what-
their own vest are probably like, why would you have a black vest?
Well, if I was
Lou, do you have a
waiter
black vest?
somewhere else,
If I have a black suit that comes with a vest,
some people, if you've been a waiter or something, people back then used to sometimes wear vests. I just was never a waiter. She didn't know this, but I also didn't have black pants. I had to go out and get black pants and a black vest.
she didn't
But-
ask you if you had black pants.
Mm-mm,
No.
mm-mm.
Wow.
But
And was that was the code? That was the dress code: black pants and black vests,
And the tie, a bow
And-
tie.
a bow tie.
If I remember correctly. Maybe it wasn't a bow tie. Maybe it was just open collar. I don't really remember, but
Okay.
I remember that first day.
So
one of
she
my
said,
first-
Mr. Bagley, do you have you ever been in the service industry? No. Mr. Bagley, do you have a black vest? No. Are you okay around people?
Do you like different kinds of people?
You said yes, and they went.
I said
"You're-
yes."
You're hired. One yes out of 3 questions, and you were hired.
I don't remember if there was any other questions, but those were the main things that when I drove home thinking, this is what we covered. Hmm.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
So you get home, and did she tell you in the room that you had the job?
Yeah.
Okay.
She asked me if I could be there Friday.
What day
And-
of the week was this?
I don't remember.
Okay, but you do remember what day you had to be there.
Yeah, I remember I had to be there on a Friday night, and I
For
worked Friday
Shabbat.
and Saturday and Sunday for Shabbat.
Yes.
No.
So Friday night. So you went out and you bought a vest
And black pants.
and black pants.
I had black shoes, Howie.
I didn't ask.
Well, just so you know.
Okay.
And one of my first tasks, I remember
So you get there.
The head butler gives me, takes me around. He's showing me how to, fill up the M&M jars and make sure there's baby oil in every bathroom. And,
Why did they want baby oil in the
well,
bathrooms?
it was a different time, Howie.
Okay.
And then I just remember he handed me a tray with 2 enemas and 2 douches on it and said, take this up to bedroom 4.
And you have never, so you have 2 douches and 2 enemas, and you've never been in the service industry before.
No,
And you're wearing a brand new
I
vest.
took to it like that.
Wow. Okay, so you
So
head up.
I walk up.
Is it on a silver tray? Is that how it's presented?
It was. I don't remember what the tray looked like. I really don't. But it was a tray. I
Okay.
remember that.
And you
then
knock on the door. Is there a button? Is there a
There
bell?
was. I knocked on the door, but I remember going through the great hall and going up
What
the
makes
stairs.
a hall great?
Well, it's just big. Howie.
Okay.
That's what they call it.
Okay.
And
How many bedrooms are there?
I'd
I don't-
imagine like the Sistine Chapel. Like those hallways are great and grand and big.
Is it like the Sistine Chapel?
Well, it's kind of more like when you look at a house and they say this is the great room, and usually it's like a big room.
Oh, okay.
hmm More like that. I wouldn't think of it more like the Sistine Chapel. That's a whole different level.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So, how many bedrooms are there?
I don't remember.
But this is bedroom 4.
This was bedroom 4.
Go ahead.
And I knock on the door and it opens and it's yeah, very hairy from James Caan.
James Caan, who's no longer with us.
That's right. And there were 2 young girls in the bed.
Did you know he
behind
died?
him.
Do you know
Yes,
he died?
I did. I do know that.
Okay.
Yes. But I didn't really know him.
Did you know he was going to die?
No, I didn't know he was going to die, Howie.
Dad.
We're all going to
No.
die.
Well, we're all going to die,
Right.
but we don't know, you know.
Was he dressed? You're saying
you
he's very
did
hairy.
guess though. You try to guess when people are dead or going to die, is what you do, right?
I try to guess when they're going to die. Oh, because no. That was just what we call an unfortunate incident.
Okay.
Wait, you're calling the fact that you think my mother passed an unfortunate incident?
Enough.
No, but
Enough.
the fact that you're
Lewis had
standing,
enough with
the
this.
fact that you're standing with a douche and an enema in front of
2 douches and 2 enemas.
was for the
was
women.
James naked?
No, he was in a white towel, very hairy chest, and I gave him the tray.
How do you serve, sir? Here's your douche.
I just looked at him. I remember feeling like, oh my gosh, this is James Caan. I handed him the
rollerball.
tray.
Was it rollerball?
Yes.
And then I went down to the pantry and I said to the head butler, do you know who that was in bedroom 4? And he said, yeah, Jimmy likes his girls clean. And so whenever I would see James Caan in movies, like when I was in the theater watching Misery, I just remember wanting to say to people around me, fun fact, Jimmy likes his girls clean. Like, what do you do with that information? You just kind of carry it with you in your head.
And now so
and
does
now
every
you shared it with
every
everyone.
listener.
Yeah.
Does so the girls douche and is there a bathroom in bedroom 4 or
Well, I would imagine a bathroom in every bedroom.
I don't know.
I
They
don't know,
all have to have
Howie.
an ensuite.
I
An
don't-
ensuite.
You've
Be-
been to the Playboy Mansion.
I have. I was never in bedroom 4, and I like everyone clean.
Yeah, I know that. I know
Yeah.
that about you.
But I've never had them. I've told them to go wash their hands. I never said, flush out your ass. Could you flush
Well-
out your ass before you shake my hand? I've never said that to anyone.
Well, I don't know how honestly how that discussion, comes up. But I would imagine it would be. I don't know. I don't know how he
So-
brings, but I'm sure that by the time I saw him, he had a whole system of how he would handle that.
Oh, so he had 2. Was there 2 women in
There
there?
were 2 young women.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And so he would say, you know what I'm going to do to you? You know what I'm going to do to you too? But first, you know what you need to do to yourself?
I don't know. This is something that you can roll around in your head when you're falling asleep tonight in bed thinking about, what you've learned today.
Did you ever have to do something? Did you ever have to do? This is
I
disgusting.
don't know. I don't know. I come here and I cough all the time.
No, you always cough.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
But that's okay. What did you ever see something disgusting?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I saw lots of things that were disgusting
Good
and some things that were just uncomfortable. But the one thing that jumps out at me that was disgusting was it was an afternoon. Sometimes Mr. Hefner would rent the a part of the place out, like there was a game room, and he would rent that out for a benefit. And so then the head butler would,
What is in the game room?
The game room is like pinballs and billiards and foosball, and then there's a red room and a blue room, and they were both.
So it's like a Chuck E. Cheese with 50 Shades of Grey. It's like
Sure.
birthday parties. Go ahead. So
It's
you rent
not-
out the room.
And so there was a red room and a blue room, and they were both mirrored, and they were like, fuck rooms is what they were. I'm sorry, Jackie.
That's
It's
okay.
just this
Jacqueline.
Jacqueline.
No, I said he could call me Jackie.
So what makes a room like the game room is the game room? Just
It's a
fuck room?
separate facility, like a separate.
And when you say fuck rooms, was that the title that you as the butler gave it, or is that what Hugh said?
No,
we
no,
need more
they were
tissue in the
no,
fuck
they
room?
were called the blue room and the red room. But
why?
we knew what they were. They were in the game room, and they were where people would go.
to fuck.
Yeah,
But why did you not call bedroom number 4 earlier a fuck room?
that was Mr. Khan's room.
Did he have
Was
his
it
own
the-
room that he
A
always
lot of
used number
people.
4?
A lot of people had their own room. His doctor, Dr. Saginaw, I think, was in bedroom 2.
Whose doctor?
Mr. Hefner's.
What kind of doctor was this?
He just was a doctor that lived there. His
doctor?
doctor.
Is that where you got the douches?
No, we got the douches out of the cabinet in the pantry.
Was that in the same pantry where the M&Ms were that you had?
Yes.
So there were M&Ms, there was the peanut covered M&Ms, chocolate M&Ms, douche, and
And Clark bars and whatnot. Mhm.
And enemas.
Clark bars and whatnot,
And
and
enemas.
an enema.
Mhm.
Wow.
Mhm.
All the chocolate.
Sure.
Okay. So the doctor lived there full time?
Yeah.
You're saying yeah, like this is James Caan.
His daughter actually wrote a book about it. His daughter, I think her name was Jennifer, wrote a book about growing up, at the Playboy Mansion.
Would her father ever say the daughter of the doctor or
the daughter
Hughes?
of the doctor.
The doctor's daughter grew up there? The whole family lived there?
No, the wife and the doctor were separated. Oh, you know who
So
else?
he got custody?
You know who else had his own room up there was Kardashian. I think it was his lawyer.
Oh, the original.
Kardashian.
Kardashian.
Jeffrey.
No.
Robert?
Robert.
Yeah, I think that's it. He had like some gray hair in the front.
Yeah.
And he had his own room there too.
That's so bizarre.
Wait, I
The
want to hear
doctor
the
and his
story.
daughter. Oh, we will. Go ahead. Keep going.
About which the game room.
Yeah.
The fuck
So
room.
so
So
I went,
would
I
they
go
say
out there-
because he was raising his daughter in the house? Would you hear him say something like, "How old was she when she was living there?"
when I was there? I want to say she was. I don't know. She was somewhere around between 9 and 11.
So would he say to the child, "You know what? You can play foosball, but stay out of the fuck room."
No, I don't think that. He might have said, "Stay away from the blue room and the red room."
Okay, but you know what he meant.
I did.
Okay,
Mhm.
go ahead.
So I go out there, and there was nobody in there, but the blue room was locked, the door to the blue room. So I knock on it, and nobody answers, and I'm like, "You guys, you have to come out.
Why?
Mr. Hefner is having a benefit," and so eventually 3 people trotted out past me into the bathroom, and the first one, you can buy a vowel from her any day of the week on.
No way.
Yes.
No way.
Yes.
Pat Sajak?
No.
Go ahead.
No.
So keep going. Keep going.
So, and her boyfriend at the time was a guy named John Gibson, and then their friend that was with them was a Chippendales dancer named Scooby Doo,
Mhm.
and and
I can solve this.
so the 3 of them went off to the showers,
Right.
and I went in there, and I can't even describe what a mess it was or how badly it smelled, but I'm gonna try.
Oh my
Just to upset you, Howie.
Oh my gosh.
So it was, just like I remember the sheets were off the bed. There were, stains on the bed. There was,
Stains?
every kind of stain that you could
Like they
imagine.
didn't do an enema before this.
No.
Okay.
There was stuff, and then there was an empty bottle of baby oil, and on the mirrors there was baby oil. Like I remember there were handprints that kind of went like this, and for those who can't see it, it's like your hands start in the center, and something has happened, and all of a sudden they've slidden out to the side. So and so I just remember thinking, I don't know where to start. Like, I don't know what to do. And so I picked up the sheets and I could feel them wet on my arms.
Oh.
And so what happened was I dropped the sheets and I went back to the main house. And I remember I kept my arms out in front of me and I went into the pantry and I said to the head butler, I can't clean that. Like, I can't clean it. It's a mess. And he got mad at me. And while he was hollering at me, I remember I kept washing my hands and my arms over and over in the sink. And at the time, this is before antibacterial soap. I know this is your nightmare. At the time, there was no antibacterial soap. So there was a thing of Listerine on the side there. Mouthwash. And it says Listerine kills germs. And I just thought, good enough. And I remember I kind of put it on my hands and just kind of dried my hands. And I just kept putting Listerine on my hands and my arms. And I still felt dirty. It was a mess. And I think they ended up just going and locking that door so that nobody could go into the blue room that day. No, just that day. Just that day.
You didn't get fired for saying no?
I didn't get fired because they actually had maids and people that did that, but they were just gone for the day. So,
and you've never actually been involved in the service industry.
I'm not. I made it very clear when I was hired that I was not in the service business.
I love that the fact that one of your duties was to walk into a room and clean fluids.
No,
but that was expected of you at that moment. And one of the things that is expected of somebody that has to do that is you must own a vest.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, the vest came in handy because it kept my shirt and my body from feeling the moisture that my wet arms felt. So that was when you asked me if there was ever anything that I saw something that was.
Have you
really
said
disgusting.
that? I think you did a one-man show once. Did you talk about that?
I did. I talked about all this in my one-man
show. So has she ever heard this story?
Her ex-husband, when I did it at the Aspen Comedy Festival many years ago, he came backstage and somebody said, Vanna White's husband is here and he wants to talk to you. And I was just like, oh my God, oh no. And I went and talked to him and he shook my hand and he was like, I remember those days, I've heard all about him and, blah, blah, blah. And I thought to myself, well, of course he wouldn't be like, of course they know that this is who she was and, where she came from. And so they wouldn't, it's a part of her life.
Have you ever bumped into her since?
No, I never.
They don't make you sign an NDA or was it?
No, I didn't.
I don't think I heard of NDAs until like the late 80s.
Did you ever see, I know that the girls from Girl Next Door, like Holly Madison Pete and
That's
Kendra.
Later.
I know, but I'm saying
later.
that they said that the women that were there were not treated very well by Hef. Did you ever see anything like that?
If I'm honest about that, one of the things that would happen in the pantry, we would all kind of gather, and a lot of times some of the girls would come down and they would be upset because they would have to go up to a bedroom to kind of go be with somebody, and they didn't really want to do it, but they understood that a part of their staying there, they had to go do this. And so for a lot of girls, it was rough. And I remember a lot of girls would smoke a lot and do, drink and do pills and stuff. And I think that a lot of that was just to try to get through the process.
Sad.
Yeah,
Did he ever have like strict rules for them where they weren't allowed to leave the premises or like
I don't know
curfews?
that.
No?
I don't know that. I've read that in books.
Yeah.
And so I've heard a lot of that, and there was a really good docu-series that came out recently, all about this part of the dark side of the Playboy Mansion, and it was fascinating to me.
Did you ever have a run-in? Did you ever meet Cosby?
I remember seeing him there, but I never met him. But the thing that I would say about that is that it was a time where all those men that were friends of Hugh Hefner's kind of, there was a normalcy to what they were doing. So what Bill Cosby did, a lot of people did back then. And ground zero to me was the Playboy Mansion. It's just, they would do that.
And it was a known thing. And
they would, and people would, talk about that they had been drugged or, things like that. The girls would talk about that. So I lasted 1 year and it was all too depressing for me. But then also I got fired.
I find getting fired can be depressing.
Yeah.
Why did you get fired?
Well, it turns out I'm not good in a service position. No, what happened?
Because there was a shortage of mouthwash in the mansion? What's happening with all the mouthwash? And why does that one butler have wet arms?
Yeah. And they're blue.
Right.
No, how I got fired was, it was a Memorial Day and a lot of the Playboy bunnies were running around topless, and it was,
Is that what they do? Is that how they celebrated Memorial Day?
Mm-hmm. And so
because it was Memorial Day.
Exactly.
See what I did there?
I
Mammary
did.
glands.
Yeah.
You get it.
That's
Thank you.
that's a pun.
I'll be
Dad
here-
joke.
I'll be here.
Yeah.
A dad joke about
Mammary glands.
memory.
And so a woman showed up, an older woman with a yellow silk dress, and she was very bossy, and all the butlers and the bartenders, everybody was kind of complaining about her. And
Wait,
was
she
very
showed up
demanding.
as a guest?
Yes.
Is she a well-known person?
Yes. You want me just to tell you?
Well, is there a problem in telling us?
I don't know.
Like,
I don't know. I will tell you
am I
that.
going to get a call?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I will tell you that she was very bossy to a lot of people, and I remember the bartender said she kept stealing his cigarettes, and she didn't want Spanish champagne, and there were lots
What is
of problems.
Spanish champagne?
I don't know. Some champagne.
Champagne is French.
Yeah, but they were serving some kind of Spanish champagne, and she just didn't want that. And so
Who is it?
Robert Culp.
no,
Look
No.
where his mic is.
They could tell. The people at home could tell. That was Lou guessing
he's got it
that.
up to the skull.
skull.
Yeah. Who is?
It's Joan Collins,
okay.
and let me just tell you that she
Has
looks
she?
looks very different through a soft lens on TV than in real life. And she had
I think Joan Collins. Is she with us?
Yes.
I wouldn't make that assumption, Howie. Why would you make that assumption?
Somebody.
How
Google
dare
that.
you?
Google
Is
that.
no one?
How
No,
dare
she is.
you?
Oh, she is.
She just went to the hospital a couple weeks ago for something that happened.
Are you?
Yeah, she's alive.
Why is she in the hospital?
She's out of the hospital now, Howie. She's told me she's fine.
Thank God, Lou's back.
She's
'cause
alive.
He's got all the scoops on Joan Collins.
So now,
But
what
at
I
that
said,
time, was she was young and hot?
no,
right?
she wasn't young and hot. She was on. It was after she had done. What was the show she was
Dallas?
on? Dallas, and she had long hair on Dallas, and when she was here, she had short hair, and I didn't recognize her, and so.
But she's wearing a yellow silk.
a
dress?
yellow silk dress, and then what happened was, it was the end of the night, and I was tired. It was like around 2 a.m, and she, all day she had been calling us, and we were the help, but she would call us boy and call us over, and she called me boy and called me over, and she said that she was ready for her car, and I said, well, there's a valet service. You just go to the front door, and she said, I'm asking you to go do this for me, and I said, okay, I will do this. Now, I am not proud that I said this, but this is what I said. And again, I would never say this now, but this is what came out at 2 a.m. after butlering all day. I said to her, I will go let the know to bring your car around, but I just have to tell you that I do not appreciate your cunty attitude. Now, do you remember this, Howie? Anyway,
I do not appreciate your what?
Your cunty attitude.
Right.
So then what happened was the next day I come into work, nobody's making eye contact with me. All the other butlers are icing me. I go into...
That's so weird when you're standing there with a tray of douches and enemas, but nobody wants to look at you.
Not now. And I got called into my boss's office, and they asked me if I called Joan Collins a cunt last night. And I said, first of all, I didn't realize it was Joan Collins, number one.
Because people don't know
two,
don't think of her with short hair.
Right. And I said, number two, I did not call her a cunt. I said that I didn't appreciate her cunty attitude. And he was like, well, you can't say that.
Why?
And I said, well, I realized that. And he was like,
when did you realize? When did it come to you that, like, at the meeting or after
when I
work?
was driving home.
Yeah. You thought to yourself, what?
You can't use that word. And it could possibly come back.
Do you find that a Y... But do you find that putting a Y on the end of it softens it?
For me, it did. It made sense to me. I was saying that it was her attitude that was
not
cunty,
her.
not her.
You're separating the cunt from the woman.
In my mind, that's what I did, and that's what I tried to explain when they were firing me.
The Y separates the cunt from the woman, and people don't realize that. It's a different time.
Yes, and so then I learned a very valuable lesson, and I never was in a service position again.
What did you learn?
I have a problem with bad attitudes, and I've been all my life. I'm great with waiters and people, in the service position, but I just wasn't good at it because if somebody was nasty to me, I had a hard time with it.
You still have the black vest?
I don't think so. Do you want it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Did you ever bump into Joan Collins since that time?
I was at a Thanksgiving party in New York, and she was there.
Mm-hmm. And
I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to bring it up or talk about it.
But you thought you should.
No, but what was really going on with her was she had just done a one-person show and got horrible reviews by the man that was sitting next to her at the Thanksgiving table.
Mm-hmm.
And so everybody was talking about how we don't know what to do. He's here, she's there, they're sitting next to each other.
Do you think that the person that was holding the party, who was the
I think that's cunt karma.
It was
wow. That should be our new T-shirt.
Cunt karma.
CC me on that.
Isn't karma with a K?
I know.
Okay.
Don't ruin my jokes with spelling. Spelling doesn't count.
Okay.
Okay, but whose party was it?
It was two friends of mine, Michael and Terrence.
Okay. Did Michael and Terrence do you not think that they did that purposely? They put her next to a reviewer?
I don't know. I know this. I know that when I got there and told them, Joan Collins is here, and I told them that I was fired because of her. And then they were like, no, you were fired because you called somebody cunty. Like, you can't do that. Anyway, but...
were you sitting on the other side of her?
I was sitting across from her.
But
here's the thing.
Her bad reviewer of her one-woman show is sitting beside her. The one person probably in her life that has referred to her as a cunt to her face.
I did not. I said that she had a cunty attitude.
I know. Is sitting across from her. Did she have a good time at the party?
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, Howie. She left early. But I will say this about that.
Yeah.
When I think that there was no time for me with all that was going on, and everybody was like, that reviewer gave her bad reviews, and everybody was like, handling the situation. I didn't think it was appropriate to go, here's a fun story.
Were you uncomfortable being face to face with her while she was eating?
What was uncomfortable was I wanted to talk about it. But it was too many. There were too many people around, and I think
you missed an opportunity.
I know. I kind of wished that I
And
had
it would have
talked to
taken her
about it.
mind off the
You
bad
know what
review.
we should do
It
right
would have been
now? We should ask all of our listeners and watchers and subscribers if there's any way, if any of you can just make sure this gets to her, this episode, so that she can. It's like you're talking about it now with her.
and you get it off your chest, and
Yeah.
maybe you don't know.
Well,
if it's,
I've gotten it off my chest. I've talked about it for years. It's off my
But
chest.
don't you want her to know?
I'm sure she doesn't even remember that. I'm sure that it was not a big deal to her.
She was
It
the
was a
original
big deal to
Karen.
me because
Jacqueline.
I got fired.
Jacqueline. I
Whatever,
don't know. You've
do
Do you
whatever.
ever
confused me.
call her Jackie?
Always.
He only calls me Jackie.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
but I've just changed it to Jacqueline because of this thing. I love that you're reaching out to our viewers and our listeners like we have an audience that is connected to Joan Collins
Who
in
knows?
any way.
It might be
what-
more than Kevin Bacon, maybe 9 or 10 steps, but I'm sure someone is.
You realize we're 35. We're 35th in Croatia. There is no way that anybody that listens or watches this show knows Joan Collins.
Who knows? You never know.
I
We
know.
can make it happen.
What was she doing at the Playboy Mansion?
she at the time had just finished doing a pictorial layout of her
Naked?
at her age naked. hmm
Hmm.
Did she have? And it was more.
And the whole point of it was kind of empowering women of a certain age to say, look at how fantastic I look.
And did you think so?
Yeah, she looked fantastic in the layout, the pictorial layout, but again, soft lens, very helpful.
I think there's a movie in this, Hefner Abbey.
Hefner Abbey?
Don't get it.
Like Downton Abbey?
Like Downton Abbey. This whole thing about a butler, maids, cleaning rooms, and the stuff going on.
They should do a sitcom like that.
I pitched it around town for years.
What did you pitch?
I did that one-person show, and I pitched it as a series, and I couldn't get interested in it.
Did you
As a
did you
comedy.
pitch the cunty scene? 'Cause
No,
I would
no.
imagine every executive in
No.
town would go, we got to have this.
No. It also was a different time. But again, now I can't imagine. I mean, I don't even know if you can say that.
What?
Cunty.
You can. I'm telling you, you can.
You did?
And we had a guest on that said that cunt is fine too. Without the Y.
Do you have friends from England?
I'm sure I do. I can't think of anybody right now.
And they don't like you. But the thing is that they, my friends who are English use that word
Oh, yeah, that's right. I've heard.
in kind of an affectionate
Yes.
way.
I've heard.
It's a greeting.
Yeah. Not a, well, I wouldn't, but it's a very common,
It's a
commonly
better
used.
greeting than is your mother still alive?
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Boy, I've learned my lessons today.
No, you haven't. You are amazing.
I will keep relearning them.
What is another
know-
from your 1 minute? Oh, go ahead.
You know what I remember
What?
from when I was younger? Going to the set when you were doing Sunny Days. Was it Sunny Days?
Yeah.
And getting spit
Sunny
in the-
Skies.
Sunny Skies. Getting spit in the eye from the
A llama.
A llama.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember
And
that.
a beagle. That was a bagel. Wasn't there a beagle?
Yes.
Yeah.
There was with cream cheese. I was
Yeah.
Stevie Cream Cheese in that sketch.
Yeah.
Here's something. Howie, right when I was finishing up with the Groundlings, I mean, Howie, I auditioned for Howie's show, and it's the first time I was ever a series regular on a show. It was like, what was that, 94 or 95? Howie
I
Mandel
don't know.
Sunny
The
Skies.
thing I remember, we won a Cable Ace Award. So
Really?
Yeah, wow. It's the same year. I remember when we were taping it because Rich, who was a producer on it, is with us. The Oklahoma bombing. So that's what I remember. That whatever year the Oklahoma bombing was the year we were doing the
I
show.
think that's 95. Is that right?
Somebody is looking it up. There we go. See that? You can see it on the Google. 93.
93. Okay.
Okay.
And so it was my first job.
Right.
And I remember you just made me feel so talented. Like you made me feel
You are
so
talented.
good.
You're probably one of the funniest people I've ever met. You're such a good actor and such a
thanks,
range
Howie.
in acting.
You're
and
such a
sketch
good
comedy.
actor. That's a thing that a lot of people don't know.
I know. I try to tell them, but they
you're a very good actor, and you always have been.
No, well, not always have been. I'm not acting anymore. I don't act.
You don't. You don't.
No, nobody calls.
Am I wrong, right or wrong about this?
Wrong.
When you you did like a bad guy in something that you had to shave your head for, and
Yes.
your wife liked it so much that you kept it.
Right.
Yeah.
You were right.
That's what I remember.
So, but now I'm not an actor. I'm a game show host. So because you got that right, I'm moving you into a bonus round. And I do that whether there's a game or not. So you are on your way to the grand prize or the Great Hall.
The Great Hall.
You're going to the
Yes.
Great Hall. Tell me something else wild about the Playboy. I'm fascinated by
The Playboy Mansion?
Yeah, like another icky, weird.
Okay, we
fun-
could do that. There's another thing that I was thinking might be interesting to talk about, but I can.
No, go
certainly
ahead. What if you want to?
I was thinking about when I first got the job with you.
Right.
There was an interesting thing that happened where when you're a series regular, you have to go get a physical.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you remember this or not, but I got a physical with, and there was an older man, and he said to me, "Just so you know, we don't die. Our spirit continues on. We don't die." And I was like, okay. And
The doctor told you
yes, you don't remember
that?
this.
I don't think you were at a doctor. I think you went to a psychic.
No, and he said that, and I said, what do you mean? And he told me about a friend that he had who passed away, and when he passed away, he felt him going through, crossing over, whatever. So I came the very first day on the job. We met like downstairs in the lobby, and the cast was there, and I told the story about this doctor who told me that we don't die, and you said, I believe that.
I do.
And you said, I actually brought a book by George Anderson, if you want to read it, and it's called We Don't Die. And I read the book, and it kind of introduced me to the whole concept of, and he was telling me that I needed to know this because somebody in my life was going to be dying soon. And I thought, I was confused by that. But then, 2 months later, my partner at the time had passed away.
I remember that.
And yep. And I just remember you were the one that kind of, I don't know, we were all laughing about it. And then afterwards you said, I believe that. And you gave me that book, and I read the book, and it really, it made me understand that there is more, and that life does continue on, spirits continue on, and that you can communicate with spirits. And so that was all.
And you found that a
fascinating
little
to me.
bit comforting. And I was also amazed at you because you were going through this very dark time in your personal life at the same time as we were doing silly comedy.
Yes.
And maybe that's for me, comedy has been the panacea to get through, and smiling and laughing has always helped me. And to watch you go through in tragedy, and lose somebody you love. And it was a slow, painful process. And at the same time, each and every day, you were delivering the most brilliant, funny, bright, focused comedy.
Well, thanks.
But it really was. I think
it's a gift. It's kind of, when you go through a dark time in your life, it's a gift to have a job and something to do, and it was playful. And I remember you brought up the Stevie's cream cheese sketch where I got spit in the eye by a llama. I remember seeing myself in the mirror with that costume and that crazy, get up. And I had gotten a phone call that day that he was slipping away. And I had just gotten the phone call. I hung up the phone. I went out and shot that scene. And I called his brother afterwards. And he did end up living for a couple more months after that. But it was like during that period that he was dying. And I remember seeing the llama like come towards me and looking at me like this and thinking, this can't be good. And then all of a sudden it backed up, and then it spit and it went into my eye. And I just remember thinking, whatever that is, I have like llama goo in my eye.
Now, do you think that it's something in you that brings fluids?
I was going to say that every job you had fluids all over you.
And we didn't have, I remember you screaming and it made no sense, but it does today, where you went, I need Listerine. Somebody bring me Listerine.
Yeah, I don't know, but I do know this. I know that being around Howie made me much more aware of germs and things, and I've carried that the whole rest of my life. I've been much more aware of
I'm sorry.
everything.
It's not a good thing.
It makes sense if you really think about it. It makes sense.
No, it does make sense. Here's the problem. The difference between it making sense and making you a little bit neurotic about germs is different than what I go through, because
I know.
The fact that it makes sense, I can't get past it.
I know.
So it'll stop my life. But it's not about me, it's about you.
No, but I remember even back then saying to you, like, I understand that you don't want to shake other people's hands or hug people. And I would hug you and all that. And I'd say, but you're not talking about me, right? And you were like, yeah. I am. It's everybody.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, okay. And so then
especially knowing the job that you had previous to working with. Speaking of which, one more. You got to fill me with one more before you go. One more icky, wonderful, crazy
Gross.
Playboy Mansion episode.
Okay, well, there are a lot of them, but the grotto was always kind of a place I never wanted to go down around the grotto.
So for those that are young and don't know, the grotto was the world famous pool area in a cave, kind of, right? It was this man-made.
It was like a cave, and people would go down there, oftentimes not in, clothes. And
But
vestless.
you had a vest on.
Yeah, well, I would have my vest and my black pants and whatnots. But and I just remember one time, oh boy, and I love this man. It's somebody I've worked with since, and he's just wonderful. And you worked with him on St. Elsewhere. And he was in the grotto with a young lady. And I remember I had to go take towels into the bathroom down there. That's why I went in there. And I realized when I walked past them that they were in the middle of, a moment. Mm-hmm. And I just walked into the bathroom and I thought, well, I'll just wait. I'll just wait until it's an appropriate time to leave.
Now, when somebody is doing that, what are you waiting for? Are you waiting for it to end?
I'm waiting for it to end.
Pull out so you can get out.
I'm waiting for it to end so that people can compose themselves and I could trot by without making eye contact.
But so you were making, so were they both facing you? Was he coming in from behind?
No, he was sitting on the side of the grotto.
Mm-hmm.
I walked behind him,
mm-hmm.
and there was a woman in the grotto, and she was facing him.
With
face
her head
to
in
face?
his lap.
Yes.
Her head in his lap.
Why does my daughter know? Go ahead.
I just knew from his hand gestures, his hand motions. Not,
Okay.
and I said it for
All
everyone
right.
because not everyone is watching.
Okay, so she's in the service industry. She's servicing him, is what you're saying.
Well, okay.
Okay.
And all I can tell you is that I waited in there for what seemed like about 20 minutes, and I realized at some point that there really is no appropriate time to walk past somebody that's having sex in the grotto. So I just finally went.
Right, but let me ask you a question before you go. But you were walking behind, so he didn't see you. She's face down. She didn't see you. What are you waiting for? For her to finish and they'd be up and they saw you and they knew you were there.
I felt like I didn't want to be there for the release.
Just in case that you.
But
timed
how
it
would you be
poorly.
able? How would you be able to time that? And how would
Well,
you
I thought I
know?
could wait until I heard the sounds that people make when they have a release. And so I never heard those sounds. And so after 20 minutes, I just left. So
So
I
you
don't
didn't know.
maybe-
So you wanted to go when he was coming.
I wanted to
Well,
go.
I'm confused here. I don't know whether you're coming or going, or whether he's coming and you're going, or you're going and coming.
I was waiting, and I don't know when people were coming or going. I
Okay.
just know that
You
I
wanted to go when
eventually-
he came.
I wanted to go after
Isn't
he
it
came.
creepier that you were waiting in there for 20
I
minutes
know.
listening?
And then also when you're in there thinking, it's like, well, now it's become a thing. It's like, now I'm in there just waiting and it feels really creepy. And it's like, I just didn't know. And there were lots of moments like that were awkward that I just didn't know how to.
You don't want to say who it is? I want to know.
I know who it is.
Yeah.
No, let them guess. Let people guess. I know who it
Okay.
is. It's somebody I work with.
Yes.
Go
And he's
ahead.
wonderful.
He's
Wonderful.
wonderful person. Go ahead.
I feel
So
like
did you
I've said
list-
too much.
Have you ever approached this person when you were working with them and said, "Do you remember me?"
No, but the first time I worked with him, he came up to me and said, "I feel like I know you from somewhere." And I remember decidedly saying, "We've never met. We have never met."
You lied.
I had never met him.
it's not a
saw
lie?
him. I only saw him, and I know that it takes him a very long time to come. Those are the only things I know.
Is it-
We're not going to say. We're not going to say. We're not going to say that one. I feel protective.
So am I. What was I going to say? But I want to tell me one more awkward story because these stories are great. Like a really icky one.
Well,
You want to close on the ickiness.
Well, they're all kind of icky, Howie.
That wasn't so icky.
It was for me. Imagine you standing there in the bathroom waiting for somebody to have an orgasm. It's like it's icky. Well, there's one. Here's one. This
Okay.
isn't really icky.
Okay.
It's not really icky, but it's kind of historic. I was there.
Oh, history. So people who are interested,
This
call your
is a
friends,
history
call your
lesson.
neighbors. This is a historic lesson.
Mr. Hefner was dating Shannon Tweed at the time.
Shannon Tweed, who is now the wife, or I don't
Yes.
think they never got married.
I
Gene
don't know.
Simmons.
Yeah, that's correct.
Right. Gene Simmons bore, Shannon Tweed bore Gene Simmons' children.
Okay.
Mhm.
And
I think she's Canadian.
I think you're right.
I am.
And I was there. I think you're right. Yeah,
No, I
because
am.
her sister would come and visit from Canada.
Right. And there's no way that they lived in the States and her sister would fly up to Canada to come in to see her sister down in Los
And
Angeles.
oddly, his next girlfriend after Shannon Tweed was also Canadian, named Carrie Lee.
Hmm.
But anyway, that's a whole different story. But the one with Shannon, I was there the night that they broke up.
Ooh.
And what I remember about it is there was a big argument in the den, and all the butlers scampered off to the pantry, and nobody wanted to be around it.
Did you scamper?
No, I stayed there. I wanted to hear it. I wanted to hear what was happening, and so I took M&Ms out to the M&M bowl, and I was slowly pouring the M&Ms in the bowl while he was scolding her. And it was something about drugs and her bringing drugs on the property, and he did not want drugs on the property because he had gotten in trouble in the past. And so it was something about drugs. And then at one point I'm pouring the M&Ms in, and then I would pour them back in the bag. I was just really,
Back and forth.
Just slowly
And he
taking
did
my
not
time.
notice the sound of M&Ms dropping into a bowl because that
For
sounds
20 minutes. M&M's dropping for
click,
20
click,
minutes.
click, 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 click.
And then all of a sudden the door opens up and Shannon runs by and Mr. Hefner comes by, and I didn't know what to do. So I just sat in a chair that was there next to this little table where the candy dish was on. And I remember thinking, I had the logic, if I just stare straight ahead, maybe they won't see me. And I just sat there, and my logic was like, if I don't make eye contact with
They'll
them,
think I'm a mannequin.
I'll just, maybe they won't notice. And he kind of stopped and he looked at me, and then he went off. And I just remember thinking, it worked. But it was like crazy logic. And then, then his next girlfriend was also from Canada, and she was Carrie Lee.
I don't know.
And she moved in with her girlfriend. And
Oh, that's good.
yes. And it was a different time at the Playboy Mansion. And like I
Did
said,
you ever walk in on them having sex?
no. No, but I did have an incident where Carrie Lee called and wanted, it was just these drinks, but they were just what is it called? Perrier water with a little bit of. So there's no alcohol, so it's Perrier, and then cranberry juice and limes. And so she wanted 3 of those. So
She had a
went
UTI
up there.
then.
I went up there. There were 3 naked girls in the bed, and I said, "Where do you want the tray?" And
oh wow,
she
what a
said-
great story! Thanks so much for being here, Tim. Thank you so much.
Dad, I want to hear it.
We'll hear it.
Okay.
We'll hear it. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course.
All right.
That's so
That's hilarious.